I receive lots of questions from viewers, and one of the most common series of questions I'm asked is about last. How do they work? Why do I need one? How do I choose the length? How do I choose the width? And I've done videos that cover those things. But today I'm going to do a brief demonstration of the mechanism of a last that enables you to pull it out of a shoe or a boot. I'm frequently contacted by people who have the wonderful idea that they're just going to make a plaster cast of their foot and then make a shoe or boot around that. There are many reasons why a plaster cast of a foot can't be used as is to make a shoe or boot. The plaster cast doesn't have extra room for the toes. It doesn't have a toe shaped, it has toes. It doesn't have toe spring or heel height. And if you don't know what those are, then maybe you should study a little bit more about last before you try to make a last. But a plaster cast is also ugly because it's shaped like a foot. And shoes aren't shaped like feet, they're shaped like lasts. A last is designed to accommodate a foot, but it doesn't look like a foot. One of the other things that a last has that a plaster cast typically does not is a way to get the last out of the shoe. This is something you need to think about before you start building your shoe or boot, is how am I going to get the last out when I'm done? I'm going to show you the three most common ways that lasts are designed to change in some way so that it can actually be removed from the shoe. This last has a cone in it. This piece here removes. This is a cowboy boot last, and this is a pretty common type of last for cowboy boots, is the type with the cone, the separate removable cone. You can see there's a screw here. I'm going to remove that screw. The cone comes off. So the last has a little hole here and here. So I would reach into the boot with a last puller that looks like this, hook it into the hole on the cone, and pull the cone out, and then reach back in and stick the last puller into that back hole and pull the whole last. This is a last with a V hinge. See this V shape right here? That's because it's a V hinge. With this last, you have to have some sort of pin or bolt that you can drop down into that thimble, the hole that's on the top of the last. Put the last down onto your pin or bolt, and then you press hard at the toe in a downward motion, and it opens that hinge. That changes the shape of the last and enables you to pull it out of the shoe. And again, there's a hole right here for you to grab with your last hook. This is an example of a last hook for a shoe. It's shorter because you're not reaching down into the length of a boot. And if you're making a boot and you only have a shoe hook like this, you can just make a strap for that end. And then you can just stick a foot in the strap and pull it out like that. So the shoe hook would insert right into that hole again, and then you could pull the last out. And to put the last back into shape, you just pull the toe back up. The V hinge is the most common. All of the last I sell have the V hinge. It works for boots or shoes. However, if you request it, you can have the cone style or the Tendo hinge if you want. And speaking of Tendo hinge, this style of last has what's called a Tendo hinge. This is most common for shoes because it enables you to pull the last without distorting the top line. So with the Tendo hinge, drop it down onto the post. But with this hinge, instead of pushing down like you do on the V hinge, you pull up. The last has become a different shape now, which enables you to pull it out of the shoe. And to put it back, you just push down. When you're closing Tendo hinges and V hinges, make sure you don't get fingers or body parts in that hinge because you'll be very sorry. You can hear that really strong snap as it goes back into place. So there you have it, the three most common type of last mechanisms. You have the coned last, the V hinge, and the Tendo hinge.
My mom is teaching me to make bread, and I have to do this part by hand. And the flour is nice and fluffy on top, and then you get into the mixture underneath. It's like touching stuff in a pond. It's like when Paige and I would dive to the bottom of the pond, and to prove that we really had reached the bottom, we would have to grab a handful of mud and bring it back up to the surface as proof. But it wasn't really mud, it was just cow poop. I thought I made up a new insult by calling someone inactive yeast would be a funny and cool insult, but Mom says that's an insult in the Bible, so everything has already been done before. There's no point in trying.
There's nothing new under the sun. And that's in the Bible too. All right, I think we're about ready to start kneading.
I need to get this stuff off my hands.
You don't have to give that little wiggle. Your kneading technique is annoying me.
I'm trying to knead firmly.
Okay, there you go. Now turn. There you go. Now turn. Perfect.
I don't like it when my bread farts at me. My joke here has been redacted from censorship. There's no freedom of speech in this household. Are you actually recording this time?
Yes.
Because I've been lied to that you were recording before. Very good.
Fellowship sweet, rapture complete, walking with the heavenly dove. I have nothing to dread, looking ahead, holding to his hand of love. I am holding to his hand as I onward go. Mid the dangers of grace he doth bestow, moving to bright times above, sunbeams round me play. I am holding to his hand as love all along the way. My mother snores so loud in her sleep, she wakes all the neighbors from their sweet dreams. But no one complains, we all love to tease when we hear mother